The year is 1096. A small group of scholars gather in the bustling market town of Oxford. They are drawn together by a thirst for knowledge. This simple act marks the beginning of Oxford University. It would become one of the world's most prestigious institutions of learning. Yet its founding is intertwined with another momentous event. This event reshaped the very fabric of English society, the Norman Conquest. Just a few years earlier, in 1085, William the Conqueror, the Duke of Normandy, commissioned the Doomsday Book. This was a comprehensive survey of land holdings and resources in his newly conquered realm. The Doomsday Book was a testament to William's insatiable desire for control. It provided him with a detailed inventory of his spoils of war. More importantly, it laid the foundations for a new system of governance, feudalism. The Doomsday Book serves as a stark reminder of the profound changes ushered in by the Norman Conquest. It stands as a symbol of the meticulous record-keeping that would come to characterize Norman rule. This event marked the beginning of a new chapter in English history. William the Conqueror, a ruthless and ambitious ruler, wasted no time in imposing his authority on England. Central to his plan was the introduction of feudalism. This hierarchical system of land tenure and obligation originated in medieval France. Feudalism would come to define English society for centuries to come. Under feudalism, the king sat at the apex of the social pyramid. He was the ultimate owner of all land. He granted parcels of land known as fiefs to his loyal followers in return for military service. These followers in turn could subdivide their holdings. They granted smaller fiefs to their own vassals. This created a complex web of obligations and loyalties. At its heart lay the principle of land for service. The imposition of feudalism had a profound impact on the Anglo-Saxon aristocracy. Many were dispossessed of their lands and replaced with Norman lords. These lords were eager to consolidate their power and extract wealth from their new domains. The Anglo-Saxon peasantry, who made up the vast majority of the population, also felt the weight of the Norman yoke. They were tied to the land. They were forced to labor for their Norman overlords. The redistribution of land following the Norman conquest was not limited to secular lords. The Church, a powerful force in medieval society, also received its share of the spoils. William the Conqueror understood the importance of securing the Church's support. He granted vast tracts of land to monasteries and bishoprics. This aimed to solidify his own legitimacy and ensure the spiritual well-being of his new kingdom. The Church played a multifaceted role in the feudal system. It was a major landowner. It wielded considerable political and economic influence. Bishops and abbots often served as advisors to the king. They held positions of authority in the royal court. Monasteries, with their emphasis on literacy and learning, became important centers of scholarship and culture. They preserved ancient texts and transmitted knowledge across generations. The Church's influence extended far beyond the walls of its monasteries and cathedrals. It touched the lives of ordinary people through its role in administering the sacraments, providing charity to the poor, and offering spiritual guidance. In a world often characterized by violence and uncertainty, the Church provided a sense of stability and hope. The Plantagenet dynasty began with Henry II in 1154. His reign marked the start of a new era in English history. Henry's legal reforms laid the foundation for the English common law system. He also expanded the kingdom's territories through marriage and conquest. The Plantagenets would rule England for over 3 centuries, leaving a lasting legacy. Henry II's marriage to Eleanor of Aquitaine brought vast territories in France under English control. This union significantly increased the wealth and power of the English crown. Henry's legal innovations, such as the establishment of royal courts and the introduction of trial by jury, set the stage for a more centralized and organized system of governance. These reforms not only strengthened the monarchy, but also laid the groundwork for the development of modern legal practices. Henry II's reign was not without its challenges. His conflicts with the Church, particularly with Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury, highlighted the ongoing struggle between secular and ecclesiastical powers. Despite these tensions, Henry's rule was characterized by relative stability and progress. The Plantagenet dynasty saw a succession of notable rulers, including Richard the Lionheart and King John. Richard's participation in the Crusades and his legendary bravery earned him a place in history, while John's reign was marked by the signing of the Magna Carta in 1215, a document that would become a cornerstone of constitutional governance. Throughout their rule, the Plantagenets faced internal strife and external threats, but their ability to adapt and innovate ensured their lasting impact on English history. The dynasty's legacy continued to shape the political and legal landscape of England long after their reign had ended. The Hundred Years' War, (3s). The Hundred Years' War was a series of conflicts waged between England and France from 1337 to 1453. It was marked by significant battles such as Agincourt and the rise of notable figures like Joan of Arc. The war had profound effects on both nations, reshaping their political landscapes and economies. As England and France battled for dominance, the conflict saw the introduction of new military tactics and technologies. The longbow, used effectively by English archers, played a crucial role in battles like Crécy and Agincourt, giving the English a tactical advantage despite often being outnumbered. The war also witnessed the emergence of charismatic leaders. Henry V of England, with his victory at Agincourt in 1415, became a legendary figure, celebrated for his military prowess and inspirational leadership. On the French side, Joan of Arc emerged as a symbol of national resistance and resilience. Her visions and leadership galvanized the French forces, leading to pivotal victories that turned the tide of the war in France's favor. Beyond the battlefield, the Hundred Years' War had lasting impacts on both nations. In England, the constant warfare strained the economy and led to political unrest. The heavy taxation required to fund the war contributed to peasant revolts and increased tensions between the monarchy and its subjects. The war also led to the development of a more professional standing army, changing the nature of military service in England. In France, the devastation wrought by the war had a profound effect on the landscape and the population. Many regions were left in ruins, and the prolonged conflict disrupted agriculture and trade. However, the war also fostered a sense of national identity and unity, which played a crucial role in the eventual expulsion of the English from French territory. The Hundred Years' War, with its epic battles and legendary figures, remains a defining chapter in the histories of both England and France. Its legacy can be seen in the evolution of military strategy, the development of national identities, and the enduring stories of heroism and struggle that emerged from this tumultuous period. The Wars of the Roses, (3s). The Wars of the Roses were a series of civil wars fought for control of the English throne between the houses of Lancaster and York. Lasting from 1455 to 1487, these conflicts culminated in the rise of the Tudor Dynasty. The wars were characterized by brutal battles, shifting alliances, and significant political intrigue. The seeds of the conflict were sown in the aftermath of the Hundred Years' War. The financial strain and political unrest that plagued England created a fertile ground for internal strife. Both the Lancastrians and the Yorkists laid claim to the throne, leading to a bitter power struggle that would last for over 3 decades. Key battles such as the Battle of St Albans, the Battle of Towton, and the Battle of Bosworth Field defined this period of English history. These clashes were marked by their ferocity and the high stakes involved, as each side vied for dominance. The Battle of Towton, fought in 1461, was particularly brutal, with thousands of soldiers losing their lives in a single day. The conflict wasn't just fought on the battlefield, it was also a war of politics and alliances. Marriages, betrayals, and shifting loyalties played a crucial role in the unfolding drama. Figures like Richard, Duke of York, and Henry VI of Lancaster were central to the narrative, their fates intertwined with the fortunes of their respective houses. One of the most significant outcomes of the Wars of the Roses was the rise of the Tudor dynasty. The conflict effectively ended with Henry Tudor's victory at the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485, where he defeated Richard III. Henry Tudor, who became Henry VII, married Elizabeth of York, uniting the warring houses and establishing a new era of stability. The Wars of the Roses left an indelible mark on England. The protracted conflict devastated the nobility, leading to a significant shift in power dynamics. It also set the stage for the Renaissance and the profound changes that would come with the Tudor reign. The legacy of these wars is a testament to the enduring struggle for power and the complexities of medieval politics. The Tudor Ascendancy, gap 3s. The Tudor period began with Henry VII's victory at the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. His reign marked the end of the Wars of the Roses and the beginning of a new era. The Tudors would oversee significant changes in English society, including the Reformation and the establishment of a strong central government. Henry VII's marriage to Elizabeth of York symbolized the unification of the warring houses of Lancaster and York, bringing a semblance of peace to a war-torn nation. Through strategic marriages and political maneuvers, Henry VII solidified his rule, laying the groundwork for a dynasty that would last over a century. Under the Tudor reign, England saw significant transformations. Henry VIII, Henry VII's son, is perhaps best known for his 6 marriages and his pivotal role in the English Reformation. His decision to break from the Catholic Church and establish the Church of England had profound and lasting effects on English society and governance. The reign of Elizabeth I, the last Tudor monarch, is often referred to as the Elizabethan era, a period marked by flourishing arts, exploration, and the defeat of the Spanish Armada. Elizabeth's deft political acumen and strong leadership helped to stabilize England and establish it as a significant power in Europe. The Tudor dynasty not only brought an end to the internal conflicts that had plagued England, but also ushered in an era of relative stability and progress. The changes they implemented in governance, religion, and society left an enduring legacy that shaped the future of England. As we reflect on the Tudor Ascendancy, we see a period of dramatic change and consolidation, setting the stage for the modern British state. The Tudors' impact on history is a testament to the dynamic and often tumultuous nature of their rule, forever etched into the annals of English history. The Magna Carta, signed in 1215, is often heralded as one of the most important documents in the history of democracy. This charter, forced upon King John by his rebellious barons, sought to limit the powers of the monarchy and establish certain legal protections for the nobility. While initially intended to address the grievances of these barons, its principles would resonate far beyond its immediate context. The Magna Carta introduced the idea that the king was not above the law, a revolutionary concept at the time. It laid the groundwork for the development of constitutional law and individual rights. Key clauses addressed issues such as protection from illegal imprisonment, access to swift justice, and limitations on feudal payments to the crown. Over the centuries, the Magna Carta's influence extended beyond England. It inspired the development of common law and influenced the drafting of significant documents like the United States Constitution and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Its enduring legacy is a testament to the power of ideas rooted in justice and equality. As we reflect on the Magna Carta and its impact, we recognize it as a cornerstone of modern democratic principles. Its signing marked the beginning of a shift towards a more balanced and fair system of governance, one that continues to shape our world today. The Magna Carta remains a symbol of the enduring struggle for liberty and justice, a beacon of hope for future generations. The Black Death, which swept through Europe between 1347 and 1351, was one of the most devastating pandemics in human history. It is estimated that the plague wiped out nearly 1/3 of Europe's population, leaving a profound impact on every aspect of medieval society. Entire villages were decimated, economies collapsed, and social structures were upended. The immediate aftermath of the Black Death saw a dramatic shift in the balance of power between the peasantry and the nobility. With a significant portion of the workforce gone, surviving laborers found themselves in high demand. This newfound leverage allowed them to demand better wages and working conditions, fundamentally altering the feudal system that had dominated for centuries. The scarcity of labor also led to innovations in agriculture and industry. Landowners, desperate to maximize productivity with fewer workers, began to adopt new farming techniques and technologies. This period of change laid the groundwork for the eventual rise of a more market-oriented economy. The Church too faced challenges during this time as the Black Death ravaged communities. The clergy's inability to provide answers or protection led to a decline in the Church's influence and authority. This erosion of faith in religious institutions would later contribute to the conditions necessary for the Reformation. In the wake of the Black Death, society slowly began to rebuild itself. The pandemic's survivors carried with them the scars of loss and trauma, but also a newfound awareness of their own agency and resilience. The social changes spurred by the Black Death were instrumental in shaping the transition from the medieval period to the early modern era. Reflecting on this dark chapter in history, we see how adversity can drive transformation. The Black Death, though a time of immense suffering, ultimately paved the way for significant social, economic, and cultural shifts. It serves as a stark reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and our capacity to adapt and overcome even the greatest of challenges. The social upheaval caused by the Black Death set the stage for one of the most significant uprisings in English history, the Peasants' Revolt of 1381. Discontent had been brewing among the lower classes due to oppressive taxation and the harsh conditions imposed by the ruling elite. The final straw came with the implementation of the third poll tax within 4 years, a tax that disproportionately affected the peasantry. On a warm June day, tens of thousands of peasants, led by figures such as Wat Tyler and John Ball, marched on London. They demanded an end to serfdom, fair wages, and the abolition of the poll tax. Their anger was palpable, their resolve unshakable. As they stormed the streets of London, the rebels captured the Tower of London and executed several high-profile figures, including the Archbishop of Canterbury. King Richard II, only 14 years old at the time, met the rebels at Smithfield. In a tense standoff, he promised to meet their demands if they dispersed. The peasants, desperate for change, agreed, but the king's promises were hollow. Once the immediate threat had passed, Richard II ordered a brutal crackdown on the rebels, leading to the execution of their leaders and the suppression of the revolt. While the Peasants' Revolt was ultimately crushed, it left an indelible mark on English society. The ruling class could no longer ignore the grievances of the lower classes. Over time, the demands of the peasants would be gradually addressed, leading to the slow erosion of the feudal system. The Peasants' Revolt stands as a testament to the power of collective action and the enduring struggle for justice and equality. It reminds us that the fight for a fair society is never easy, but it is always worth pursuing. The Wars of the Roses, a series of dynastic conflicts fought between the houses of Lancaster and York, plunged England into chaos from 1455 to 1487. Named after the emblems of the two rival factions, the Red Rose of Lancaster and the White Rose of York, these wars were characterized by brutal battles, shifting alliances, and political intrigue. It all began with the weak rule of King Henry VI, whose bouts of mental illness left a power vacuum that ambitious nobles were all too eager to fill. The conflict first erupted at the Battle of St. Albans in 1455, marking the beginning of a turbulent period of bloodshed and betrayal. Key battles like Towton, Barnet, and Tewkesbury saw thousands of lives lost, as the throne of England was contested in a deadly game of thrones. The war reached its climax with the rise of Richard III, whose brief and controversial reign ended at the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. It was here that Henry Tudor, a distant relative of the Lancastrian line, defeated Richard III, ending the Plantagenet dynasty and ushering in the Tudor era. The Wars of the Roses left a profound impact on England, reshaping its monarchy and nobility. The eventual marriage of Henry VII to Elizabeth of York symbolically united the warring houses, bringing a fragile peace to a war-torn nation. This union laid the foundation for a new era of stability and prosperity under the Tudor dynasty. As we reflect on this period of strife, we are reminded of the destructive power of civil war and the enduring quest for power. The Wars of the Roses serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of human ambition and the cost of political discord. The Tudor dynasty, ushered in by Henry VII's victory at the Battle of Bosworth Field, marked the beginning of a transformative era in English history. Emerging from the ashes of the Wars of the Roses, the Tudors brought stability and centralized power to a nation weary of conflict. Henry VII's reign focused on consolidating power, strengthening the monarchy, and restoring the kingdom's finances. His marriage to Elizabeth of York, a strategic union, symbolized the end of dynastic feuds and the dawn of a new era. Henry VIII, his son, is perhaps the most famous Tudor monarch, known for his 6 marriages and the dramatic split from the Roman Catholic Church, which led to the formation of the Church of England. This religious upheaval not only altered the spiritual landscape of the nation, but also cemented the Tudors' control over religious and political life. Henry's reign was marked by significant cultural and political shifts, setting the stage for future monarchs. Following Henry VIII, his children Edward VI, Mary I, and Elizabeth I each left their mark. Edward VI's short reign saw the further entrenchment of Protestant reforms. Mary I, known as Bloody Mary, attempted to reverse these changes and restore Catholicism, resulting in a period of intense persecution. Elizabeth I, the last Tudor monarch, is celebrated for her long and stable reign, known as the Elizabethan era. Her leadership saw the defeat of the Spanish Armada, the flourishing of English drama with figures like William Shakespeare, and the beginning of England's colonial expansion. Elizabeth's deft handling of political and religious tensions earned her the title of Good Queen Bess, and her reign is often seen as a golden age in English history. The Tudor dynasty's legacy is profound, reshaping the monarchy, religion, and society of England. Their rule laid the foundations for modern Britain, leaving an indelible mark on the nation's history. As we conclude our journey through the Tudor era, we are reminded of the complex interplay of power, religion, and politics that defined this transformative period.